Before there was Rome, before there was Persia, before even the shadow of Greece, there stood a city of dreams and dust, a place where humanity looked up and decided to touch the heavens. They called it Babylon. Not merely a city, but an idea, a promise carved into stone, brick, and belief that man could rise above the earth and speak to the gods themselves. Between the Tigris and the Euphrates, in a cradle of scorching sun and fertile mud, Babylon was born. She did not emerge in thunder or conquest, but in patience, brick upon brick, dream upon dream. Long before her towers gleamed, the land was scattered, kingdoms of dust, remnants of Sumer and Akkad. The world had grown silent after the first empires fell, but silence, in time, births new voices. And from that silence came a people of builders and scribes, who took the language of the gods and the clay of the earth, and began again. They called upon the old gods of Anu, Enlil, Ea, and they built not just homes, but a vision, a city that would be the center of the world. And in that dream, Babylon rose. Then came the man who would give Babylon its heart, Hammurabi, a king of vision, both warrior and judge, who believed that order was the divine reflection of heaven. He carved his words into basalt, to bring about the rule of righteousness in the land, to destroy the wicked and the evildoers, so that the strong should not harm the weak. Under Hammurabi, Babylon became more than walls and temples, it became law. From his hand came the Code of Hammurabi, one of humanity's first written laws. And in those laws, justice became something solid, something carved, remembered, and feared. But even the lawgiver could not outlive the dust. Empires rose and fell as easily as the tide, and after Hammurabi's reign, Babylon's glory dimmed, swallowed by time and by the ambitions of others. And after centuries passed, Assyria rose like a storm from the north, a kingdom of iron and blood. They came to Babylon as conquerors, not pilgrims. They broke her walls, burned her temples, and chained her gods. But Babylon did not die. No empire could kill an idea. And deep within her ruins, her people whispered her name, again and again, until the world remembered. Then, in a blaze of power and faith, Babylon was reborn. The Neo-Babylonian Empire rose, a phoenix of stone beneath the gaze of the gods. And at its heart stood a king whose name would echo for eternity, Nebuchadnezzar II. Under Nebuchadnezzar, Babylon became the jewel of the earth. Her walls stretched for miles, wide enough for chariots to race upon. Her gates, shimmering blue, bore the images of dragons and lions, guardians of glory. It was said that even the sun paused to rest upon Babylon's towers, and in her heart stood wonders that defied the belief of the hanging gardens. A mountain of green in the desert, terraces, overflowing with life. Built, they said, for a queen who longed for her distant homeland, a monument not of conquest, but of love. Whether the gardens truly existed or not, their legend endures, for in every empire's heart, there is a story, not of power, but of the human longing to create beauty. Even in a world of dust. Even with the beautiful ideas, no wall, no law, not even kings last forever. Babylon, in her pride, reached a high. And as the centuries turned, new powers gathered at her gates, the Medes, the Persians, the armies of Cyrus the Great. One night, under a moonless sky, the river that fed Babylon became her undoing. The Persians diverted its course, and through its dry bed, they entered the city in silence. By dawn, Babylon had fallen. The city that touched the sky now lay silent beneath it. Yet even in ruin, her name did not fade. Poets spoke of her, prophets warned of her. And the memory of Babylon became both legend and warning, of pride, of power, and of humanity's endless desire to build, to rule, to dream. Today, only fragments remain, blue tiles, broken inscriptions, the whisper of a name in the dust. But if you walk among those ruins, you can still feel it, the heartbeat of the first metropolis, a place where humanity took its first step toward the stars and learned that every tower casts a shadow. Empires rise, empires fall, but the dream of Babylon remains.